Hello, in this short video I'm going to explain about if statements or conditional statements which use something called the if function. Functions are built-in calculations in Excel, and the if function allows you to put one of two pieces of information into a cell depending on a condition. Now the condition in this case is going to be whether the value in this column here is above 25 or above or not. Basically the condition is if the value in the cell to the left of where we're going to put the conditional statement is 25 or above, we're going to put the word above in this cell. If it's below 25, we're going to put the word below in this cell. So I'm going to start off with an equal sign inside the cell. Now in Excel all formulas begin with an equal sign. Then I'm going to put the word if. It can be uppercase or lowercase, doesn't matter. That's the actual the function we're going to use. Then we open brackets, and then there are three arguments that we're going to put into the brackets at the end of this function. The first argument is the condition itself. Now in this case we're going to say if A2 is greater than or equal to 25. Now the symbols I've used there, greater than and equal to. You can have less than or equal to, you can have greater than on its own, less than or equal to, or equal to. And that's the condition. So we're saying, well, if the cell next to this cell, A2 in this case, is greater than or equal to 25, I'm now going to put a comma in, and now I'm going to put in the second of the arguments. The second argument is what you want to appear in this cell if the condition that we've just put in is true. So I'm going to, in this example, I'm going to put text in to the cell. So if you type in text, the text has to be enclosed in speech marks, in double speech marks. So if it is true, I want to put the word above. That's sandwiched in speech marks. Another comma rather, and now I'm going to put the third argument, which is going to be the word below, again in speech marks, and then close the bracket. So what we have there then is the equal sign, the word if, then in brackets three arguments, the condition, comma, what you want to appear in this cell if the condition is true, comma, what you want to appear in this cell if the condition is false. Those are the three arguments. So if I press enter, you can see it comes out below because the value of the cell next to it is below 25. If I copy this down, and I can copy it by pointing to this little square and dragging down, you can see we don't have the same thing in each of the cells. Here we've got below, below, above, above, below, above and below. So it puts one of two different things into the cell. I'm just going to press the F2 key to show you what's inside this cell. So we can see here, look, if what's in the cell that this formula is referring to is equal to or greater than 25, it puts in the word above. If not, it puts in the word below. This isn't greater than or equal to 25, so it puts in the word below. Here, exactly the same formula, but obviously when you copy a formula, the relative position of the cells mentioned changed. So again, we're referring to the cell just to the left of where this formula is. In this case, it's A4. So if A4 is greater than or equal to 25, put in the word above, or if not, put in the word below. In this case, the value in cell A4 is above 25, so it puts in the word above. Right, that's one thing that you can do with conditional statements. I'm just going to highlight those cells and I'm going to delete them. Just press the delete key. And just show you some other things that you can put into the if true and if false parts of a conditional statement. So I'm just going to do this again. I'm going to equals if, open bracket, the first argument again is going to be the condition. This time I'm going to say if it's less than 20. So I'm going to say if A2, the value in this cell, A2, is less than 20, comma, and now I'll put in the second of the arguments. This is the argument that says, well, what do I want to put into this cell? Now before we put in text, which was in speech marks, this time I'm going to put in a formula, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the value that was in cell A2, and I'm going to multiply it by 20%, comma. Now the second argument is I'm going to say, well, if the condition is false, which means if the value in the cell is less than 20, I'm just going to put the value of that cell in there. Or the other thing I could put in is actually I could put in another value. I could say 50, and then close the brackets. So this time, if the value in the cell next door to it, in cell A2, is less than 20, it'll get A2 and multiply it by 20%. Otherwise, if the condition is not true, which means that the value in A2 is 20 or above, it'll put into this cell the value 50. Well, let's see. So 2.4, so what it's doing is worked out 20% of 12. If I copy this formula down, we can see where the value here is less than 20, it's worked out 20% of it and put the value in there. Where it's 20 or above, it's just put in the value 50. So just to recap then, I'll just bring up a little document I prepared before that you can see. So basically with an if statement, there's something missing here, just have an equal sign at the beginning. An if statement or a conditional statement will put one of two things into a cell. You always start off with equal if, doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase, then in brackets, 3 arguments, 3 sections divided by commas. The first bit here is the condition, and we can use greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to symbols to compare a cell contents to a value. And then here, which is the next argument, so just that one there. The first argument is what goes into the cell if the condition is true. Here we've got an example of text, but what we could do, instead of that, we could just put in a straight value like that, and it would put that value in the cell. Or we could go and get the value in a cell, and we could do a calculation with it. So we could say multiply it by itself, or multiply it by a value, or multiply it by some other cell. So those are the 3 things you can put in as arguments, arguments for what's going to go into the cell, either a piece of text, or a number, or a cell address, or a formula. That's all for now. Thank you very much for listening.